Hello friends and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick and today I've got a very cool, very addictive little space shootery type game for you. It's called Retry, with a little question mark at the end, by developer Team 17, who you probably know for their rather infamous Worm series. These guys actually have been making games for a very long time, and I guess they've developed some sort of a little, regimen, sort of like the Double Fine Amnesia Fortnite, where they get together over a short amount of time and develop some experimental ideas, and Retry happens to be one of those ideas. So what we're going to be doing in this one is essentially just using our arrow keys to move that little circular magnet-looking thing in the center of the screen to the left and right, and as we line up that line over things, it's actually going to explode them. So basically, we're just going to have an increasing wave of more and more enemies, and we'll have some kind of crafty and very clever things that go on throughout the game that add a little bit more and iterate on the theme of what would normally be an incredibly simplistic game, and fundamentally is a very simplistic game, but I think that's part of the appeal of it. It's, easy to play, hard to master, is I think kind of a game design mantra that makes a game rather successful. So why don't we start up a run, and I will show you how to play. Okay, so the one thing that I do want to point out right from the top, not a huge fan of the music. It is basically driven by some wubbing dubstep kind of a soundtrack, and, it's not the worst thing in the world. I don't hate it, but I'm also not incredibly into it quite the way that I find I get sort of hypnotized by Geometry Wars style soundtracks. This one's just sort of there, and if anything, maybe I would rather it wasn't, but it's cool. It does go somewhat with the theme, I suppose. We are doing a space shootery thing, and I hate to start off on a negative, because honestly, I really, really enjoy this game. Basically, it's so simple. Like I said already, we're just going to be spinning in circles. We've got a few different types of enemies that start out. We've got these red ones that slowly move towards you, got the blue ones that move a little bit faster towards you, and then we've got these yellow ones that circle around and come toward you like sort of as if they're on a gravitational pull, which sort of makes sense going with the gravitational theme of being in space. So as you can probably tell, I've already lost. You can probably tell that. But you can also tell that there is a sort of a points reward system that goes along with releasing the laser on each subsequent enemy, and so that basically what they want you to do is not miss any shots, which sounds like it would be easy to do, but the game is actually a little bit tricky to get a hang of the controls. It's not impossible or anything, and you'll probably get a hang for it, fairly quickly, but it certainly doesn't feel as accurate as maybe I would have hoped. If we were basically controlling this just with the mouse, I feel like we would just be clicking and dragging and letting go or something in whatever direction we want to attack in, and that would maybe make us a little too precise. We might become infallible in that case, so I think what we've got now is some sort of a medium type of ground where essentially just, dragging left and right using the arrow keys leaves you with a little bit of imprecision, which is just enough to balance out to make the game challenging and not overly easy. So, I'm doing all right. I could be doing a lot better, of course, but I am doing all right, and I didn't quite make it around in time to kill that last one. So I want to at least get you to a run where you can see some of the more interesting moments of the game, because it actually does expand out a little bit. It's not just as simple as what it looks like from the start. There's actually some new elements introduced that fundamentally change the idea of how the game works a little bit. Maybe not fundamentally change it, but add some new quirks and a little bit more depth to the game, which is very cool. So, it actually adds enough that it makes me want to keep going, not only just to get a high score and beat my own leaderboard scores, but also just to see what's ahead in case there's some more new wild twists or something coming. So I'm just doing my best to stay ahead here and try and predict which ones are coming down the line. That seemed like I totally nailed that shape, and it did not get attacked properly. Turn. The ship seems to turn rather slowly at times. I guess that's kind of beneficial, because if it turns too quickly, we're just going to miss every single thing, but, oh god, barely made that one. See, that missed again. I thought I was right over top of it, but I guess not. I've also noticed, we made it to wave 4. Okay, so that gives us a new ability. So you'll see there's now like a radar thing happening on our screen, where as we move around every now and then you'll see that blue, or rather purple, pulse come out from our ship in the center, and that's cueing us into some invisible ships or cloaked ships that seem to disappear every so often. So we've got to be on top of noting where those are, and we can still kill them when they're not on the screen, but it takes a little bit of memorization, which can get a little bit tricky when there's so much coming at you all at the same time. You got to be pretty much on top of your game with noting all the positions while also prioritizing what's coming at you when and what order you need to attack them so you don't end up just getting yourself killed. I should mention, of course, really nice art. The game design is just very polished and feels good to play. The particles that are exploding everywhere feel very good. The lights and all the motion going on in the background makes it feel like, high production value. Like there's a lot of good stuff happening to look at every moment. And really, again, the only detractor seems to be for me, and this is just a personal taste issue that I'm not a huge fan of the soundtrack, but that's alright. I would also like to see maybe if you get further into the game that it could maybe change up the soundtrack a little bit, because it sort of feels like it's at an even-keeled tempo most of the time. There's no real sense of more urgency one time over another. But, alright, so we've made it up to Wave 7. This introduces another new element. Now we've got enemies that are going to start shooting bullets at us, and we've got to use the back part of our ship to deflect those bullets. Otherwise, we'll still die just as painfully as we would have if we were to just be hit. Oh god. Alright, make sure you turn. And that adds a whole nother element, because now I can't even get around fast enough sometimes when you've got to hit a bullet and also prioritize one of the enemies coming after you. So my leaderboard, as you can see, I've got a pretty big disparity here. My greatest run so far, it's saying Wave 7. I thought I had one that was actually better than that, but maybe it didn't register for some reason. And the game's name being titled Retry, it's very much indicative of your experience, most likely. It's a very addictive game. And I tend to just instantly want to start back up again as soon as it's over, because it's not such a long game, or at least my runs have never been so long that I've never felt like there's been much of a drag to the pace of the game. It's just sort of, quick and just makes you want to just start over. It's kind of a good mark of gameplay design when you don't feel like there's any resistance, which is sort of like the same thing that I think Tommy and Edmund went for with Super Meat Boy, and one of the reasons that the game is so accessible despite being so difficult is that it's sort of counterbalanced by the fact that every time you die, you're just instantly back in the game again with no loading, no waiting, and the levels in general are rather short, so you don't feel like you're being punished for a particularly long amount of time, and thus the player does not tend to feel much of, a drag on their morale for having played over and over again. See, like right now, I probably should have wrapped up the episode, but I really just want to keep going. I want to get further, and I want to show you if there's anything beyond the bullet element, because that's as far as I've made it, but there very well may be more to it past that. And again, I don't want you to get the wrong impression. I know it looks like such a simple concept, but like rotating this to land the line in the right spot is trickier than it looks. I promise you that. But again, not so tricky that it's going to be prohibitive to you to play it. So we're just going to keep making our rounds here and see if perhaps we can get a high score. I'm not sure if we're going to have any luck, but I think so far we're off to a pretty good start. So it seems like the blue ones you want to be on top of first. Those ones seem to be the most threat. If you can knock out one of the red ones before you can get to a blue one, then all the more power to you, but it's like, just prioritize the important stuff first. And we'll worry about that yellow one next. There it is. Oh, we're not going to turn around in time. Sometimes going in the wrong direction can be enough to screw your run, unfortunately, but that is what it is. So I'm going to hit enter, and it's going to drop me off again at the leaderboard. I think that's going to do it, actually, for Retry. Really, really fun game. Definitely recommended. I think you should go grab it. It's totally free. Seems like a game you would pay for, but it is totally free. So let me know how you do. If you're into arcadey-style games and shooter-style games. It's not exactly your traditional shooter, and I was just thinking, imagine if you could control this game with your left analog stick on a 360 controller or something. It would be infinitesimally easy. Like, I don't think there would be much of any challenge left to it after that. But still, I am sort of curious. I kind of wish I could try that. Maybe have a hyper mode where everything's like 5 times faster and then ask you to do it that way. Could be an interesting secondary mode, or maybe like an unlock after you've gotten so far into the game. I mean, yeah, it would require you to have a 360 controller, otherwise there wouldn't really be a way to emulate that style of control. But still, I think it would work out pretty fun. But that's going to do it for another day, guys. Go check out the game in the link. Let me know how you do. Let me know your high scores and all of that. I love to have a little friendly competition with you guys if you are into that. And also check out some of my other social media links in the description if you want to find out more about me. You can always follow me on Twitter. I've got a Facebook page for the series. I've got a website for the series, of course, indie-impressions.com, with over 700 other episodes. So if you're looking into some strange and, kind of prominent or just bizarre and obscure games, indie games rather, they are all available for your perusal, and they are all tagged and sorted. As well, you can check out my Twitch page if you'd like, twitch.tv/RockLeeSmile if you want to find me over there doing streams of various kinds. Be happy if you stop by, and I'd be super happy if you left a little support for the video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, or at least consider leaving a like, and even consider subscribing too if you want to see more indie games every single day. New episodes go up every day, by the way, so if you want to stop back again tomorrow, I will be here, and I hope to see you then. So thank you again for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic night. I'll talk to you tomorrow.